I think that's all we need to do.
We're live.
We'll see if it works. Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live.
Mine says the meeting is now streaming.
Yay! Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, now to make sure that my volume is off on my computer as far as Facebook is concerned, because I don't want there to be like feedback, but I do want to be able to see comments and whatnot. Awesome. And last but not least, I'm going to go into the Soul Heart Entertainment and see if I can see any kind of live comments at the same. And so if y'all have comments, I'm going to do my best to see what you guys are saying. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that and do this, but that's okay. We're learning, we're doing new things, we're expanding our horizons. So thank you so much for being here, Kaye. You know that I just worship you. So you guys, Kaye was my level 3, I think my level 2 and 3 teacher.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
We don't even need to talk about how long it's been. Okay, that's all right. Time has marched on while we've stayed completely young, right?
Yes, and vibrant.
Of course. Well, that's without saying, right? Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Kaye. She is a clinical hypnotherapist, has been practicing professionally since 2006. She teaches a variety of classes, which is 100% true, with private practice and individual sessions, provides individual sessions that are customized to her clients' needs to help them move forward, I am certain. She's an educator at heart and will guide everybody who works with her, no matter where they're starting from, to the highest potential that they have to serve. So yay, Kaye, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be exploring the world of toe reading with you.
It's so cool. So cool.
It is.
All right. So I sent you kind of at the last minute the 5 images that we'll be concentrating on today. That doesn't mean that we need to limit it to that. That just means that those were the ones that kind of jumped out at me when I was looking through my little collection of what would serve us the best. And so I always start these with just a little bit of a background on toe reading. So toe reading is this idea that our thoughts, feelings, and emotions show up the way that our toes do, so that we can get to the subconscious belief systems that we're holding in our bodies, that we're carrying with us, that it's time to let go of. So when we come across toe reading, my idea is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kaye, that if you've found toe reading, you're totally, pun fully intended, ready to release your subconscious beliefs that are no longer serving you. Otherwise, we wouldn't
absolutely
have found it, right?
Yeah, toe reading is such a unique modality. It really is a calling, right? And it becomes a way for you to kind of check in on your own self-awareness. What are your toes showing you?
Exactly. And so to learn toe reading, learning the trade, it can create so much movement in your own life as far as self-healing and kind of up-leveling your game, letting go of past drama, letting go of attracting future drama, right? Mm-hmm. And just helping us kind of be in that present moment a little bit more fully, a little bit more clearly, with a whole different set of intentions, I think, for me anyway.
Yeah, I think toe reading, once you understand the power of it, it really helps you to walk in a new way in the world.
Agreed. So where are you joining us from, my friend?
So I currently live in Carmel Valley. I live on the Monterey Peninsula in California. So I live on the coast. And where I live, I'm nestled in a redwood tree canyon. and it's a beautiful place to shelter in place. And I have transitioned my private practice. I am 100% remote now. And it happened because of the pandemic, and it's really been wonderful. It's been wonderful for my clients because they are most relaxed in their own spaces.
Exactly. And for me, it's been a huge blessing for me too, just because I was already virtual. My business back in 2012 became a virtual business, and everybody looked at me like I was going to have to pull their teeth in order to get them to join me on a live stream or on video or through FaceTime or through whatever the media was. It was such a foreign concept to most people that this pandemic has been like, okay, if you weren't willing to learn it before, you're going to have to learn it now. So here you go. Here's your video conferencing straight out of the Jetsons.
Totally. Totally. I think the pandemic has been a great opportunity to pivot, and pivoting my business was just one of the ways that I pivoted during this time. And of course, it's been challenging, and it's been filled with lots of hidden blessings that I don't think many of us could have imagined prior to it all happening.
Completely agree. Okay, so let me just show anybody who is unfamiliar the little hand-drawn toe reading map that I created. Okay, so we have the big toes as ether, which is what we're going to be talking about today. The second toe is air. The middle toe is fire. The ring finger toe is water. And the baby toe is earth. As you can see, the right is the yang, the left is the yin. And I know that it's backwards for you guys, but that's okay. It is what it is, right? Mm-hmm. So the yin side is relationship to ourselves and how we are showing up in the world. And then the yang side is the relationship that we have with other people outside of our own, all this.
Yes.
And then there's two more things that I usually mention, which is the past versus the future in the direction that toes are bending and turning and twisting and whatnot. So I think that's the only other thing to mention, right? So when the toes lean toward that big toe, we have that past thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And when they kind of lean toward the baby toe, depending on the foot, it would be more about future thoughts, how that's showing up, right? So just in like split second nutshell, there's the basics of toe reading. And we're going to talk about destiny today.
Yes.
So as you look at the images that I sent to you, and there's some dramatic stuff in there, so I'm challenging both of us a little bit. Which one kind of jumps out at you?
Wow, there's a few in here that are really dynamic. I would actually like to start with the African American feet.
Yes.
Because those big toes are really speaking to me.
Very much so. So y'all, that's these feet. So if I'm gonna hold them up, hopefully my light will show what we're looking at here. And here, let me add the right and the left so that we can really be very clear which toe we're talking about. And I know that the left foot is kind of cut off as far as the way that it's showing up, but that's what we're going to be looking at. All right, so I'm seeing fungus and toenails that are kind of, I mean, they're mangled, right? Yeah. This happens to be, I don't know if you noticed, but it's from Runner's World.
So these are runner's feet.
So these are runner's feet. Now I assume, I could be wrong, but I am assuming that this is an image after a marathon or some sort of long distance training ritual. So where do we want to start?
So I think the nail beds are the most striking on the toes, and the nail beds in toe reading represent your thought forms. And it looks like these toes also maybe have fungus as well. So if the nail bed is being eaten away by fungus and it's pretty mangled, then perhaps this person is having really destructive, negative, self-critical thoughts. Maybe that inner dialogue is really intense. They're really hard on themselves. Runners tend to be very focused individuals. So, does this person on their runs really like stay in that mental loop, right? And are they in a state of beating themselves up? And would they be willing to explore that? What would it feel like for them to speak more kindly to themselves? Can they treat themselves the way that they treat other people that they love?
Ah, you gave me goosebumps. Absolutely. Love it. Bravo, bravo. The other thing that I'm noticing is, of course, the indentation, which is kind of the horizontal line. So about if timeline of life is birth at the where it meets the foot, and the tip of the toe is sort of where we are right now, so to speak, that's about half of this person's lifetime ago. Something fairly challenging happened in their life, and it left a mark. It left its mark. I often get the question, Kay, and I don't know if you got this question a lot when you were focused on toe reading more. Do you use toe reading in your practice, by the way? Totally.
I do. So in the property that I live now in Carmel Valley, I host clients for personal retreats. So there's an additional room that they can stay in, and then I do different treatments with them. So I do hypnosis with them, and I do some coaching, and then we will do toe reading work depending on their comfort level. It's possible to do. You can do a toe reading via Zoom. You can do it with a picture. But it's great to have them here on the property, and it's great to do a ritual toe reading. I do the full essential oil foot treatment and the foot rub and the foot bath, because it's so transformational. And I actually also blend in with that treatment. I do the blindfolded reading at the end. So I start with a basic overview, then I do the full foot bath and essential oil treatment, and then I put a blindfold on at the end and I do a completely intuitive reading. And
That's awesome.
It's really amazing. And the session typically is about 2 hours because it's so in depth. And then I wrap them up in a towel and they emerge transformed after the reading. And I typically like to end with that at a personal retreat, the last treatment they get before they leave.
I love it. Coming out of the cocoon.
Yeah.
Yes. Love it. Okay. I have some comments that I'm going to read. Thank you very much for being here, Cindy Rose and Susie Rollins. Awesome. 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 Okay. So it says, I'm seeing, oh, maybe having a hard time hearing you both. I not sure what that says, Cindy Rose. Hopefully you can hear us better now, but thank you for the heads up. And then it says it looks like both toes are turned out on the runner's foot. So that I suspect that, yeah. So notice, you guys, right when that difficult time happened, all of a sudden we're going off path, right? Mm-hmm. So we're coming straight forward. We're on path. And then all of a sudden that dramatic thing happened and we start veering off path and focusing maybe way too much on the future, or focusing on the negative future or the fearful future.
Mm-hmm. The what if, right?
The what if, exactly.
Be moving into that what if energy.
Exactly. That's a scary place to be.
Definitely. And I mean, look, it can change the direction of your path, right? And
literally.
Whatever that event was, whatever that, significant event, that drawing a line in the sand, that's an important thing to explore with the client, to see what was happening there. And Do you feel like you're still holding energy from that event in your body? And if you are, let's let it out. I would imagine that they are because of that line being so predominant in the toe.
Agreed, agreed. And so what I was going to say earlier was the number one question that I get when people who have that line say to me, well, but everybody has that line because of the way that we walk, right? I'm like, no,
No.
here's an example. Like, there's a lot going on with these toes too, but
Yes.
she doesn't have any lines going on, none, no lines. And yet she still went off path a little bit, starting, right about that. What does that tell you? Because I know what it tells me, but what does that tell you?
In that particular set of feet, I'm actually more drawn to the space. The
Mm-hmm.
space on one side and the non-space on the other.
Right, me too.
So the space on the right side is like, I need a lot of space when I'm out around other people. Maybe this person likes to observe. But when they're like on their own time with people they really like, they might be super touchy feely. Like, so like their inner circle is really close.
Right.
But
Totally agree.
and they actually may not like going out very much. They might be like, rather stay home.
It feels more comfortable, right? Because they can truly be themselves. So I see a disconnect between who they're being in public and who they really are.
Yes, I
Right?
agree with that. Totally.
The thing that strikes me though about these toes not having the line, and I don't know if you guys can see the details of that, but even though she turned off path at what could be the same place where this gentleman, and I'm going to use the right feet as our example because we're talking about right toes. We're talking about that's our external self, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though he turned off path at that place where he has the line, she turned off path. And so maybe that line did exist for her at one point, but she's done the forgiveness work around the trauma and or event, right? And so even though she veered off path, probably did a little bit of inner work to get a little bit more smooth around whatever happened. Mm-hmm. And so it would be my imagination that if she wanted to change the shape of her toe or adjust it or whatever, she could literally manage it, physically manage it and massage it and work the callousing and kind of get in there and truly make some physical change happen in addition to what feels like to me the emotional work that's already been done.
Yeah, it would be great for her to do that manual manipulation while she does the visualization, because the visualization allows you to access and reprogram your subconscious, right? So she loves that big toe just like she loves herself, right? And says, I'm ready to let go of what if. I'm ready to let go of worry about the future and really be present. And to let that come into her toe, and then also to really feel that in her body. If she's massaging her big toe and she is feeling like kinky energy or heavy energy somewhere else in her body, then there's a correlation between what she's accessing in her toe and what she's holding in her body. But yes, definitely. And that toe is veering off path, but it's really at the tip of the toe, right? So
right.
Maybe it's just happening some of the time, right? Whereas the other person's foot, it really looks like it's happening all the time.
Right. Well, so the connection with the all the time is the fungus that's showing up, or what appears to us, without, this is where that conversation, that back and forth conversation makes a big difference in the toe reading, because when you can chat with somebody and say, do you know if this is a fungus? Maybe this is just because your shoes fit a little funky while you're running and you continue to allow yourself to wear those shoes. Who knows? I mean, we don't know. We just have to guess based on the picture at this point.
But it is fun. Like when I do written readings for people, if I do online readings and I don't know anything, they just send me pictures and I ground myself and then I write. amazing how accurate the readings are when I know 0.
Yes. So I don't, how do you feel about sitting with somebody that you know fairly well? It's almost more uncomfortable than sitting with somebody that you don't know at all, because they're like, but you already know that about me. Well, hello, now you know that about you too, because it's right there in your feed.
Yeah, that's why I really like to do the blindfolded method at the end, because then I'm literally just feeling the energy, right? And I'm totally operating from an intuitive place. And even people that I know really well, it's like things will come through in that way that yes, initially when I start the reading, they're saying, you know all this stuff about me, la la la, right? And I'm like, just hang out for a second.
Right.
Slow your roll. Let's do the whole process. But definitely by the end, there's something else that comes through. And
Right.
people are also completely shocked at how, like, you look at your own feet and you know what they're saying to you. Even if you have never studied toe reading and don't know any of the theory, you have a sense of what your toes are saying to you. And that's true for your whole body. You know when something is off, right? So we're just using the toes as a way to re-engage you back to your inner knowing.
Exactly. Perfect. Very well put. Let me look at some of these comments. All right, let's see. Oh, okay. So Cindy was saying that everything was good, that she could hear good, and she meant, oh, she meant her big toes. All right, girl. Awesome. We'll have to you'll have to send us a picture, Cindy Rose, so that we can do your toe reading live.
Yeah.
All right, we have 3 big toe pictures left. Which one do we want to go to next?
How about the one with the really accentuated bunion and the red toe?
Okay. All right. This gal is, I read an article written about her, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely stunningly wonderful. I loved every second of the article. All right, so, but there's a lot going on here. I mean,
yeah, I mean, this woman has had quite a life, right? She has persevered, and yeah,
that is a perfect way to say it.
and she's held a
Persevered
lot,
through some ugly stuff too, you guys.
yeah, and also that she's held a lot of responsibility.
Exactly. And that responsibility, okay, so I'm just going to pull out the map again. Okay, as we look at the map, what are we looking at? Where is that bunion showing up, guys? Right there. And on my map, it actually says the past. I mean, like, it couldn't be more clear, right? So that responsibility from maybe childhood or from her early youth, and the amount of responsibility that she felt she had and or had trouble accepting or letting go of, maybe even.
Yeah, and then there's also a hologram in the feet, right? When you put the feet together, your big toes actually create your head in reflexology. And so if you look at where the bunion is on the foot, that correlates to your spine. And that where the bunion is actually right at the middle of your shoulders. So when you shoulder a lot of responsibility, you're going to have those accentuated bunions.
I know what image you're talking about, so I'm going to show it because it's one of Cindy Rose's favorite. This guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
The polarity diagram from Dr. Stone. Yeah. Yeah. So that's profound. So also too, when you're looking at tarot reading from that hologram perspective, the areas of what the toes represent, it's literally the parts of your body, right? So you can really, again, touch your foot, look at your foot, and it really is like it's a keypad for your whole being. It's pretty amazing.
Think of an alarm code. Like, as we program it, it literally, like, and as we change that programming, it changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about how you feel about these second toes, even though I know we're kind of more focused on the big toes. It's important to acknowledge that the second toes are resting very much on top of the big toes. What does that mean to you?
So to me, the energy of those toes being predominant over the action toes. So this is communication over action. So I would think that this person is really like overthinking things in their mind, like they're talking themselves out of stuff, and their overthinking is impacting their ability to act. And it's also impacting the path that they're on. That being so, I think this person is so top heavy in their mind with how their big toes look and how the second toe looks, that how do you bring them back in their body? How do you help them to reconnect?
I I when I sit with somebody who has similar, now I haven't, well, I've sat with one person who was similar to these toes, but this toe in particular, the second toe, I think of that as a huge connection to spirit. And so almost doesn't really reside here on earth, like is very, probably of this generation, calls it God or whatever. And so has a very deep, important, profound spiritual connection to God. And so maybe almost doesn't even feel comfortable communicating with humans because it's just so different from what she's used to, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And that can be another way that you are kind of over connected up here, right? You can be analytical, or you can be so connected to your higher source that it's difficult for you to reside in your body.
Right, right. And her story is stunning and beautiful because it acknowledges all of what we just said with you having never read that story. So cool. All right, let's read a few more comments. Okay, so Jamie was so neat. Oh, we so need to read toes. Yeah, that was Susie. Reflexology was one of my favorite classes. So if you've done reflexology, I feel like you've sort of done toe reading. That's what toe reading stemmed out of, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Reflexology.
toe reading is based on the hologram in reflexology. It's based on the polarity, the work of Dr. Stone to some degree, but it's also really rooted in coaching, right? The way that you ask people questions when you're sitting at their feet. And I think that toe reading is profound because you sit at someone's feet and you're holding their soul. And there is something transformational about that. Creates a level of rapport between the person being read and the reader that is profound. And that's why people's feet can change in a single reading, and their lives can change in a single reading. It's mind-blowing to watch. And I do practice primarily as a hypnotherapist, and I do change positions as a practitioner because of what I learned as a toe reader, that humbling myself at someone's feet, it really allows them to sit in their own authority, which is something that we're lacking in this country.
Very much so. Very much so. Really, all around the world, we have a disconnect with our own voice and what's right for our soul.
Yeah, our own sovereignty.
Yeah, it doesn't serve the greater good.
No.
When it comes right down to it. When we, I think, and I don't know, but for my mom anyway, she was left in a place of like not being empowered in who she was. So she had to really fight, scratch, claw her way to discovering who she was. And so that suppression existed for a long, long, long time. I think that she was just one example from her generation. And I think most women that I know from her generation and older really had a lot of suppression, and men too. But as the men grew up, they were a little bit more empowered because they became the breadwinners, right? So they there may have been some sort of, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that now's the time, like we're in the 2000s and now very specifically 2020 plus, and we have got to step up to the plate, ladies. It is our time to really embrace who we are and what we're about and how we show up in the world. And the more authentic we are, the more amazing the planet can be, like that.
Yeah, because we really need to change some serious systems, right? We need to create equity. We need to really understand that we are all connected. We need to set up our world so that everybody has their needs met. You know, because there's just really no excuse at this point with, especially going through this pandemic and seeing how entire industries are pivoting and making these phenomenal changes, right? So obviously we're capable of doing things like that, right? We're capable of solving racism in a generation. We're capable of solving the climate crisis in a single generation. Like, now is the time, and our soul's contracted to be here now so that we can make these changes together.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Favorite class she took in school. Looking at her copy. Oh, of the toe reading map. Yep. Awesome. Okay. Super, super cool. Is there any last words of wisdom you would like to share? We didn't even get to the other two, but that's okay. We'll get to them next time.
For all of us, let's all take a little time and care for our feet. And I love inviting people to do the exercise of putting in toe spacers and then walking around in their
I think she's frozen, so we'll just hang tight just a second.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay, so the last thing I heard was putting toe spacers in and walking around, and then you froze.
Yeah, and then visualizing, where can I create space in my life to receive? I think so many of us are used to, we're doing and we're creating and producing all the time. How do we learn how to receive so that we can really find that balance and reciprocity? Because that's going to make everything equitable and fair.
Exactly. Exactly. Reciprocity is huge.
Yay!
I love it. Yay! Thank you so much for being here, darling.
I'm so
Kaye
happy.
Coleman, if anybody who needs to get a hold of you, Kaye, how can they do that?
So you can check out my website. It's www.creatingclarity.com, and I spell clarity with a K. So you can check out all my stuff there, and I would love to come back anytime and look at more toes with you.
Fabulous, fabulous. All right, so I will put her website link in the box as soon as I can get back on Facebook. And thank you so much for being live, and thank you for watching the replay, and thank you so much for being here, Miss Kaye.
Thank you, Jamie.